There are criminals, and then there are legends. This is the story of a man who doesn't just belong in prison, he defines it. A man whose name alone sends chills down the spines of law enforcement officers around the globe. His face is rarely seen, his voice barely heard, yet his reputation echoes through the darkest halls of maximum security prisons. He's not famous in the way most people are. You won't see fan pages, interviews, or old photos from a better time. Number. His fame was carved in blood, forged in chaos, and sealed behind layers of reinforced steel. To the public, he's a ghost, unknown, unseen. But to governments, secret agencies, and prison authorities, he's a living nightmare. He's the most dangerous prisoner alive. So dangerous, in fact, that he is kept under constant surveillance. So unpredictable, he has no cellmate, no physical contact with the outside world. So feared, his name has been wiped from most official records, replaced by code numbers and aliases. Yet despite his terrifying legacy, only 50 guards are assigned to contain him. Yes, you heard that right, just 50, not 500, not an elite task force, not a battalion. Just 50 human beings stand between this monster and the rest of the world, and somehow, it's enough. But how is that possible? Why would any government risk assigning only 50 men to such a threat? Are these guards super soldiers? Is the prisoner physically weak? Or is there something more terrifying at play? Some deeper reason, some unseen force that makes his containment possible or necessary in this exact way? The answer isn't simple, because nothing about this prisoner is he has escaped before, once in a way no one believed was even possible. He has manipulated, staged psychological games, even allegedly communicated with organized crime networks while locked away in solitary confinement. Every time authorities think they understand him, he shifts. Every time they prepare for his next move, he's already 5 steps ahead. This man doesn't just live in prison, he rules from it. Not with violence, but with silence. Not with muscle, but with fear. His influence leaks through concrete walls and iron bars like smoke, suffocating all who dare get close. And yet, the world knows so little about him. No interviews, no photos, no public court hearings. He is hidden, isolated, and yet somehow still powerful. This story will take you into the very heart of that mystery. Into the cell of the most dangerous prisoner in the world, guarded by only 50 men. You'll learn who he was, what he did, and why even the most advanced prison systems walk a thin line between control and catastrophe. This isn't just a story of crime. It's a story of obsession, fear, and the terrifying limits of human control. Welcome to the legend behind the bars. Monsters aren't born, they're made. Before the world knew him as the most dangerous prisoner alive, he was just a boy, quiet, observant, and disturbingly intelligent. Born into a broken home in the outskirts of a forgotten city, his childhood was marred by violence, neglect, and something far darker, a fascination with death. While other children played with toys, he dissected animals in secret. While his classmates dreamed of the future, he watched people, studied them, predicted them, manipulated them. By the age of 10, he had already been expelled from 2 schools. By 12, he had committed his first crime, an arson that burned a house to the ground. The strange part? He watched it happen from across the street, completely still, as if he was watching a scene in a movie. There was no panic, no fear, just fascination. By his late teens, he was already on the radar of local authorities. The problem was, they couldn't prove anything. Fires, disappearances, even a string of unexplained animal mutilations. He was always near the crime, but never involved on paper. He had mastered the art of invisibility. He was, in every sense, a ghost in the system. But then, everything changed. At 21, he committed his first known murder. It wasn't random. It was methodical, precise. He targeted a high-ranking police official, dismembered the body, and left behind a message carved into the wall. "Now you see me." The country went into shock. Law enforcement was humiliated, and for the first time the world got a glimpse of the mind behind the mask. What followed was a decade of terror. He didn't just kill, he planned. He orchestrated elaborate murders that made the headlines for weeks. Bank executives, judges, political figures, people who thought they were untouchable suddenly turned up dead, often in ways that made it clear he wasn't just sending a message, he was playing a game, and everyone was a piece on his board. International agencies began connecting the dots. Europe, South America, Asia, no one was safe. Interpol issued a red notice. Intelligence agencies scrambled to locate him, but he was always ahead, always vanishing before they got close. They began to call him the architect, not because he built structures, but because he built chaos. His crimes weren't just violent. They were symbolic, theatrical, almost artistic in their execution. Each murder told a story, each victim was chosen, and each act left behind a sense of dread so deep, entire cities locked down in fear. Eventually he slipped up, or so they thought. He allowed himself to be found, orchestrated his own capture, let them take him in, like a king walking into his own cage. But as we'll soon learn, his imprisonment was never the end. It was just the beginning. Because monsters don't die in the dark. They thrive in it. Catching the world's most dangerous man wasn't just a mission, it was a war. For over a decade, he outsmarted law enforcement, avoided every trap, and left a trail of chaos in his wake. Every lead led to a dead end. Every suspect turned out to be a decoy. He didn't just stay ahead of the authorities, he mocked them. Letters would arrive at crime scenes, taunting investigators with phrases like, "Too late again," or "Checkmate." Interpol, the FBI, and several national security agencies came together for one of the most expensive and complex manhunts in modern history. Operation Phantom Net. Satellites, undercover agents, surveillance drones, facial recognition, nothing was off the table. And still for years he slipped through their fingers. Until one day, he didn't. The breakthrough came from a fragment of audio, barely a whisper, picked up on a tapped phone line in an underground crime syndicate in Eastern Europe. A single phrase in a unique dialect. Linguists traced it back to a rural mountain region near the border of Romania and Ukraine. It was remote, cold, and nearly impossible to reach by foot. But this time, the agencies moved fast. A joint strike team was formed. Elite operatives from multiple countries, trained for urban and jungle warfare, psychological warfare, and hostage scenarios. This wasn't just a raid, it was a surgical operation. Under the cover of darkness, they surrounded a centuries-old monastery that had long been abandoned, or so they thought. Infrared scans revealed a complex underground structure, hidden chambers, electricity, signs of life. At 3:12 a.m., they made their move. It wasn't a firefight. There were no alarms, no screaming, just silence. And him, sitting calmly at a candlelit table, reading a book, as if he had been waiting. He didn't resist, didn't speak, didn't blink. He simply closed the book, placed it on the table, and looked up. "You're late," he said. That was it. Authorities were stunned. Was this a trick? A trap? A ploy for something bigger? But no bombs went off. No guards were ambushed. No hidden army appeared from the shadows. It was just him, alone, waiting. For the first few days in custody, he said nothing. He didn't eat, didn't sleep. He sat in his cell, eyes closed, completely still, like a predator in hibernation. Psychologists were brought in, profilers, interrogators, but he spoke only once. "I chose this," he whispered. "Now let's see if you can hold me." The message was clear. This wasn't surrender. This was stage 2. Authorities scrambled. Security was tripled. Prison staff were rotated. Everything he touched was monitored. And yet, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were now playing his game. He may have been caught, but no one, not even the people who locked him away, believed he was truly contained. Because when you catch a monster this cunning, the real nightmare is just beginning. Buried deep in a desolate mountain range lies a prison that doesn't officially exist. There are no signs, no roads on the map, no public records. Locals call it the Black, a structure designed not to hold a man, but to contain something far more dangerous. This is where he is kept. The prison is a brutalist fortress, built entirely underground, surrounded by motion-sensing mines and automated drones. There are no windows, no sunlight, just thick walls of reinforced concrete layered with steel, lead, and signal-blocking technology. The entrance is a single elevator shaft, accessible only through biometric scans and clearance codes that change every 24 hours. But the most curious detail? Only 50 guards are assigned to watch over him. 50. Not because of a lack of resources, but because of necessity. Each guard is handpicked. Former military, ex-special forces, psychological warfare experts. They don't rotate like in other prisons. They train together, eat together, sleep in the facility. Why? Because introducing new personnel increases the risk of manipulation. And with this prisoner, trust is the most dangerous weapon. He doesn't need to overpower you. He just needs to get inside your mind. The guards are forbidden from speaking to him. They observe through thick glass and audio-muted surveillance. They operate on silent signals and facial cues. Every shift is limited to 4 hours to reduce mental fatigue. No one works more than 4 days a week. All guards undergo monthly psychological evaluations. If one fails, even slightly, they're pulled permanently from the assignment. Why so extreme? Because this prisoner has broken people before. Not physically, mentally. A senior warden once attempted to smuggle in a blade. Another tried to disable security systems. Neither remembered why. Both ended up in psychiatric care, diagnosed with acute dissociative episodes and stress-induced hallucinations. Their only common thread? Extended time in his presence. As for the prisoner himself, he is kept in absolute isolation. His cell is a cube, 10 by 10 feet, soundproof, with infrared lighting and temperature control. There are no books, no writing tools, no physical contact. Every meal is delivered through an automated chute. Every movement is tracked. He is allowed 10 minutes of monitored exercise each day, pacing back and forth in a narrow corridor, while 4 guards watch from separate surveillance zones. And yet, despite all of this, strange things continue to happen. A guard who swore he saw the prisoner standing outside his cell, despite surveillance proving otherwise. Security systems short-circuiting without explanation. Guards reporting dreams they can't explain, of the prisoner speaking to them without ever opening his mouth. There have been no riots, no escape attempts, no contact with the outside world. But make no mistake, the fear inside that prison is very real. Because even in complete silence, even behind a dozen locked doors, the presence of this man feels like something alive. And the most terrifying part? He hasn't even tried to escape. Yet. After years of captivity, one question remains on the lips of everyone who's ever heard his name. Is he still a threat to the world? On the surface, the answer seems simple. He's locked away, isolated, monitored every minute of every day. But the truth is far more complex. Because when you've lived a life like his, when your very existence has been built on fear, manipulation, and chaos, it doesn't just vanish behind bars. It lingers. He is, without a doubt, still a threat. In the silence of his cell, he has nothing but time. Time to think, time to plan, time to outwit. The world may believe he's been contained, but there's always the unsettling possibility that he's simply waiting for the moment when an opportunity presents itself. An opportunity for escape, an opportunity for vengeance, or perhaps an opportunity for something far darker. He hasn't tried to escape yet. But we've learned by now, he doesn't need to escape. He controls from within, through fear, through whispers, through a quiet, undying presence that seeps into every corner of the world. Whether he's behind bars or in the world outside, he remains a symbol of darkness, a reminder that no one, no matter how powerful, can truly control the human soul. But can he ever be released or rehabilitated? Some say that everyone can change, that even the darkest of hearts can find light. Others argue that some monsters are too deeply entrenched in their own darkness to ever see the light again. There are doctors who say it's possible, that with the right therapy, the right environment, maybe, just maybe, he could be reintegrated into society. But deep down, most know the truth. He isn't someone who can be rehabilitated. He is the product of a broken system, a system that bred him, that ignored the signs, that allowed him to become the monster he is today. And perhaps the most chilling truth of all, he doesn't want redemption. He doesn't care for rehabilitation or reform. He thrives in chaos. He exists in the shadows. And no amount of therapy will ever change that. The prison system can keep him locked away for as long as they want, but the world will always fear him. Not because of his physical strength, but because of the control he exerts over the human mind. His legacy is one of fear, not just fear of what he has done, but fear of what he could do if ever given the chance. In the end, his story is a reflection of something deeper, the darkness that resides in the hearts of all men. Some bury it, some ignore it, but others, like him, embrace it. They become it. This is not just the story of a dangerous man. This is the story of how fear and darkness, unchecked, can grow into something monstrous. And perhaps that's the most terrifying part of all. The realization that no matter how many bars we put between ourselves and these monsters, their shadows will always stretch far beyond the walls.